When it comes to advocating for the civilian rights for possession of firearms, from an ethical perspective, it is imperative to take into account that individuals have the necessary rights to defend themselves and to defend their loved ones. Our arguments are basically focused on this principle that everyone should have the emphasizing the individual right for everyone to be able to defend themselves and their loved ones in any case of an emergency or any sort of circumstances that arises where the usage of a firearm is necessary. Additionally, this stance specifically calls for social training and education in the responsible handling of firearms, as evidence in areas where legal possession of firearms is applied and there is enough education and a culture around the proper training of the usage of firearms where it does not become an issue.
You still have 1 minute to use. You want to use it.
Some of our arguments that we're going to be using is as we mentioned, the ethical individual right for people to defend themselves and their loved ones, the usage of firearms that has to be justified in areas where law enforcement is not necessarily readily available, the gun ownership that can help a lot of marginalized groups where they might not have the necessary resources to defend themselves, and the fact that a gun ownership can help defend a country and the country's citizens from potential corruption and anti-constitutionalism by the government or several different systems.
You still have 30 seconds left.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm here to argue against the motion of firearms being carried by citizens. This is an unethical practice as it violates the human rights, specifically the right to live. As if someone carries a gun, it could affect the right of someone to live. And carrying a gun is not a human right, so there's something to argue about. Therefore, gun control laws are mandatory and should be in every single country in the world. So first, let's start with death of multiple causes with guns. This could be all the way from murder to suicide. And then when someone is talking about guns, most likely the first country that comes to mind is the United States, because everything you have heard about it. And a fact about that is that the United States is the country with the most murders with firearms, the most suicides with firearms, the most domestic violence with firearms. And so that talks about how people use the firearms, not in social sense. Then it also encourages the crime. As I said before, the firearms that citizens use, rather than lowering the crime rate in the city or in the whole country, it increases it because it encourages people to use them against other people. And then harms and safety and health. Well, in the United States, it was made a study that when 1% increased in the firearm usage, it increased 1.1% the murderers and 0.7% the suicides with firearms, which talks about what the people use them for. So yeah, this is an introduction about what people use the firearms and why we should control them.